Honorable members, prayers. Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee to look with favor upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may be as in thy sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic. Endow members of Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served, and that good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. Amen. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service, and honor shall be given to the deserving, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the efforts of those who try to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Honorable members, we have a message from His Excellency the President. This is quite some time ago, but I'm informed the House was not told about the contents of the message. The letter is dated 26 June 2022. It reads, absence from Ghana. In accordance with Article 59 of the Constitution, I write to inform you that I'll be traveling outside the country to Lisbon, Portugal, in the evening of Sunday, 26 June 2022, to lead Ghana's delegation to a 2022 United Nations Ocean Conference at the invitation of His Excellency Antonio Guterres, United Nations Secretary General, to be held from 27 June 2022 to 1 July 2022. I will return to Ghana in the afternoon of Wednesday, 29 June 2022. During my absence, the Vice President, Alai Dr. Mahmoudou Bawumia, shall, in accordance with Article 68 of the Constitution, act in my stead. Yours sincerely, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Honorable members, item 4, correction of votes and proceedings and official report. We will start with the correction and votes of proceedings of Friday, 22nd July 2022. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Page 10. Page 11. Page 12. Page 14. Sorry, page 13. Page 14. Page 15. Page 16. Page 17. Page 18. Page 19. Page 20. Page 21. Page 22. Page 23. Page 25. Page 26. Page 27. Page 28. Page 29. Page 30. Page 31. Page 32. Page 33. Page 34. Page 35. Yes, page 35.
Mr. Speaker, page 34.
Page 34.
Yes, please. Item 3. in attendance. Roman number 3. Mr. Mohamed Hadi Tuferu, who's Honorable MP and Deputy Minister for Food and Agriculture, in line with the reporting of others, because that day he represented the sector minister as Deputy Minister.
Yes, table office. Kindly capture what is drawn our attention to. Page 35. Page 36. Yes, page 36.
I'm going to write on the speaker. Write on the speaker, page 36, item number XXVII. It should be national service personnel, and not person. I'm going to.
Yes, table office, kindly take note. Page 37. Page 38. Page 38, yes.
Speaker, I may have to indulge you to bring you back to page 15. And that one will require some directive from you. When you come to page 15, the clause 33, I'm sure the draft person can, despite subsection 4, part A and part B of the third schedule of the Customs Act, is hereby. We don't use the word are hereby. But that's why I'm saying we need to look at the note. And if the Speaker authority is to direct.
Page 15.
Yeah, page 15, Mr. Speaker.
Number
10.
Yes.
Clause 33. The third line, Act, third schedule of the Customs Act 2015, Act 891, are repealed. It's hereby repealed. Is appropriate, but they have to go back to their record. But whatever it is, for the Speaker to direct the draft person to look at it. I don't know, but when you say are repealed, 90 days, it shouldn't reflect this House. It's bad construction. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I believe, as he's saying, as the minority leader is saying, we can leave it to draft persons. But indeed, when he says that it should read is hereby repealed, we're talking about two things. It says, despite subsection 4, part A and part B. You cannot say the two is. Certainly is are. But as regards adding the word hereby, I have nothing against it. I'm saying let's leave it to the draft persons. But if you are combining parts, two parts, certainly is plural, and it cannot be covered by is. But let's leave it to the draft persons. Yes.
Table office kindly draw the attention of the draft person to look at the rendition again. We go to which page? Sorry? Page 37. Page 38. Page 39. Page 40. Page 41. Page 42. Page 43. Yes.
Right, Honourable Speaker, same correction on page 43, item number CXX on the national service personnel. And if it can be corrected across the board, there's another one on the next page. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Table office, take note and make the consequential corrections to all. It's national service personnel, not national service person. Page, yes, please.
I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, I would like to take you a little bit back to page 40 and seek your guidance and direction. I'm not aware that we have any district called Lower Dejra District, but we have captured at page 40, item, I think, LXX VII, where we have Mrs. Mabel Hyde Amwa. It's reported accountant, Lower Dejra District. But I was just seeking guidance from the health people if in terms of health directorate, they have a separate district from what we have in terms of political administration, but I'm told that is not the case. I do know we have Himai Lower Dejra District and not Lower Dejra District. So if it can be corrected, thank you.
Honourable Member, I'm not sure myself, so I'll direct the table office to look at it and capture the proper nomenclature for the district. Page, is it 43 or the same page? All right. That's page 40.
Yes, right, Honourable Speaker. Right, Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Kofi Adams is right. I just checked and I noticed that it should be Chefo, Himan Lower Dejra District. So Chefo, Himan Lower Dejra District. The capital is Chefo Praso. So Chefo stroke, Himan stroke, Lower Dejra District. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker.
All right, table office, please take note and capture it properly. Page 44. Honourable members, the votes and proceedings of the 33rd sitting held on Friday, 22nd July 2022, as corrected, are adopted as the true records of proceedings. Honorable members, I'm going to suspend sitting for the next 30 minutes. I want to meet the leadership at the lobby. So sitting is accordingly suspended for 30 minutes. Honorable members, welcome back from the suspension. I took the suspension and I did indicate that it will be for 30 minutes. Our brothers and sisters of the minority group took liberty to discuss a few things which has taken us up to this time. So we apologize for keeping you waiting. We'll move straight to, I think we'll go straight to public business.
That is so, Mr. Speaker.
That is item 6. At the commencement of public business, presentation of papers. The following papers to be presented. A, by the Minister for Finance. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, so we'll start with 6A, Roman numbers 1 and 2. And the Deputy Finance Minister is here. So if you may indulge her to present the paper on behalf of the substantive minister.
Yes, any
Speaker, it's only a presentation of papers, so we are fine with that.
by the Deputy Minister for Finance, for and on behalf of the Minister for Finance. 6A, Roman 1.
Request Request for waiver on import duties, import VAT, get fund levy, NHIL, EXIM levy, and domestic VAT amounting to the Ghana cedi equivalent of 6,389,428 United States dollars on materials and equipment to be procured for the development of the Meridian Hotel by 4MAC Limited.
Honorable members, the paper has been laid accordingly and it is referred to the Committee on Finance. Number 6A, Roman 2.
Request for waiver of import duties, import VAT, NHIL, get fund levy, EXIM levy, and special import levy, and COVID-19 levy amounting to Ghana cedi equivalent of 9,252,755 euros on materials and equipment to be procured for the rehabilitation and equipping of La General Hospital in Accra by Messrs. Polychengda Overseas Engineering Company Limited of China.
Honorable members, the paper is also laid accordingly and referred to the Committee on Finance for consideration and report to the House. Number 6B, by the Chairman of the Committee, Roman 1. Yes,
Speaker,
Leader.
my information is that the committee hasn't exhausted the consideration of those items listed under B. So we stand the B down until there is a congruence of opinion on that, and then we may come back to that. In the meantime, the Speaker, we could go to item listed as 7, page 5.
Honorable members, the application before us is for us to 7, which is presentation and first reading of bills. Item, yes.
Mr. Speaker, rightly so. Item 6B, the report of the committee is not ready, so I agree that we can jump to the presentation and first reading of bills. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, there's no problem. There are other reports. I don't know whether they are also not ready, like the one on roads and transport, and the one on employment, social welfare, and state enterprises. There are 2 reports, actually. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the C is the commercial contract agreement, and the Committee on Finance should finish with their own consideration before we submit their reports. That is why we have to stand that one down. Speaker, the other one, D, the Honorable Dr. Kwabena Donko had some discussions with me. I don't know where they are with the reports. If the reports are ready, then they could be late.
Majority Leader, I thought the C was from the Committee on Roads and Transport. The Finance Committee might have looked at it, but the report is coming from the Committee on Roads and Transport, which is a contract agreement. They might have looked at it, but the Committee on Roads and Transport are to present the report.
Mr. Speaker, that is why I'm saying that the loan agreement, they must finish with it first. For the Committee on Roads and Transport could also consider this. It's been referred to them though, but they have to wait until the report, the agreement is authenticated by the Finance Committee before they work on it.
What about E? Committee of Privileges?
The D, the chairman is unavailable, And the ranking member who spoke to me,
E.
the chairman is there. So he could do the
Is he
presentation.
ready? Yes, so we can go ahead to lay that report. That is item 6E at page 5 of the order paper.
Reports of the Committee of Privileges on the alleged breach of Article 97(1)(c) of the 1992 Constitution and Order 16(1) of the Standing Orders of Parliament by 3 honorable members of Parliament during the first meeting of the second session of the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana.
Honorable members, the report has been laid accordingly and is for distribution to all members of Parliament. Now we move to item 7, presentation and first reading of bills. 7A, National Vaccine Institute Bill 2022. Minister for Health.
The Speaker, the Deputy Minister for Health is here, so she could also present the paper on behalf of the Minister.
Honorable Deputy Minister, you can go ahead, unless you have, yes.
Mr. Speaker, I was with the Minister for Health in your office, and today is a very busy day. How the Deputy Minister to do other, if you continue today being the budget day, the ministers myself them must be here to be laying those documents. Mr. Speaker, today being a special day, nobody should be giving any excuse. He was here this morning. If he's not ready, we can go and do other business. When he comes, then he lays the paper.
The Speaker, at this stage, we are not dealing with a second reading of the bill. It's just presenting the bill to the House, which should come from the ministry. The minister himself was with us, but he has just exited. I'm informed that he's using the washroom. And because of that, the House should be held in abeyance. I'm not sure that is the way to proceed.
Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, this is our own. The Minister for Health, when he was called upon to go and present document at the court, he went. If he must go and present document here, he must come. This is what I mean. We must take the work of Parliament serious. When a High Court calls you, go there and go and lay documents. Come and lay documents in Parliament. That one too, you are saying that your deputy must lay that. Mr. Speaker, we must let ministers take this house very serious, just as they take other High Court serious.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Yeah. I honestly don't think that we should be splitting heads. We should be splitting heads over this. and the shouting battle that my colleague wants to encourage in the House, I decline that offer to engage him in the shouting match. I decline that offer. The Minister will join us. If we have the Speaker, the second one is the Grains Development Authority Bill. The Minister was here to do just that. Unfortunately, because we had to suspend sitting, he's also left. I told him to be back at 1 though. So I don't know whether members will indulge any other minister to do the presentation on behalf of the minister. That is 7B.
Honorable members, we move to item 7B. 7B. Yes.
Speaker, the Minister for Roads and Highways is here. So if I may seek leave for him to present the paper on behalf of the Minister for Agriculture.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, as a house, we must take the work of the ministers that we give approval to do business with are very serious. If a minister is unable to appear before this house and do a business, we demand a reason for the absence of the minister, to be convinced that this minister takes us very serious, but because of A, B, C, D, that is why he's unable to come. But to say this minister is not here to do the work, Mr. Speaker, it's not enough. We demand reasons for the non-availability of the ministers to do business in this very special day, where we are weighing the budget of those sectors are going to be presented to this house. We must sit here and listen together with them. So if there will be a day at all where an excuse to be given to a minister, it should not be today. A budget day, Mr. Speaker, we demand the ministers must be here.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I really cannot fathom what is happening. The minister responsible for agriculture was here. Mr. Speaker, before you suspend the sitting, I rose in order to catch your eye to allow the minister to do the presentation of the paper. The other side, it was who signaled that they were going into a caucus. And you went into a caucus for 1.5 hours. You expected the minister to stay here? Mr. Speaker, so we signal the minister. Who goes away? Can you please sit down? We are not in the marketplace, please. So, Mr. Speaker, if the insistence is that if the minister is not here, the paper should not be laid, fair and fine. But it is not attributable to the minister. In this case, it is you yourself who said you were moving to a caucus. And he was not here. And you had to hold the house in abeyance for 1.5 hours. You turn around to be accusing the minister that he's not taking the house serious. Mr. Speaker, that certainly is unacceptable.
Honourable members, item 7C. 7C. Honourable MP for Medina.
To establish an act to amend the Grains Development Authority Act.
Criminal.
7C. 7C.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
You may recollect that we have had some discussions on these matters. And we were trying to reason it out as to the way to proceed on these matters. So I thought that maybe we'll stay action on these private members' bills until the discussion that we had, together with the minority leader, to firm the position of the House on these discussions and then move forward. Mr. Speaker, so respectfully, I would urge that maybe we stand these down for the time being. Now, in the meantime, the Minister for Agriculture is here, so that we can do his own 7B.
Yes, Minority Chief Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm surprised at the comment from the majority leader. Mr. Speaker, this House runs on rules and procedures. And when this has been done, gone through all the mail, it's now on the other people for laying. What discussion is he talking about? We should refer it to your committee. Whilst they are working, whatever suggestions, discussions it takes, you can go to your committee and do it, just as we are doing with the other government business. So, Mr. Speaker, I think it's only fair that we call on Honourable Sosu to lay item D as programmed by the business committee and appear on the other paper, so that whatever suggestion the majority leader may have, he can go to your committee and have it, so that it will be part of the report to the House. But at this stage, we are laying of papers, a paper that has gone through the due process of the House and has found itself on the other paper. Mr. Speaker, we can only call on you to call on the member to lay the paper. Thank you very much.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, certainly this is not a private matter. It has nothing to do with me. I had a discussion with the Speaker on having a policy position on these matters. And we are to invite the minority leader, think through, and we're already thinking of some vehicle to use in these matters. That is the reminder I was giving to the Speaker. So it has nothing to do with me as an individual.
Honourable members, the majority leader drew my attention to the fact that he has an issue with some of the private members' bills that are being considered by the House. But specifically, he mentioned the Budget Act. The Budget Act, because he thought Article 108 is a provision that has to be considered. Even though the former Speaker ruled that members could present private members' initiatives in the form of bills to the House, he thought that we have to reconsider some of these in view of the provisions of Article 108. But specifically, it was in reference to the Budget Act, not these amendment bills. And so I believe that we can go on with these amendment bills. Any concerns could be during the deliberation of the committee or the whole House. These bills have been under consideration for quite a long time. And I think we should give members and encourage members to make these initiatives for the consideration of this. It's just an amendment which I think all the stakeholders, all partners have participated in the discussions, and I don't think that we should delay anymore. I believe that items 7, C, and D could be laid by the sponsors of those bills. So please, 7C, Honourable Member for Medina.
An Act to amend Forces Act 1962 Act 105 to substitute the penalty of life imprisonment for the death penalty and to provide for related matters.
Honourable members, the amendment bill has been laid accordingly and referred to the Committee on Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs for consideration and report to the House. Yes, Honourable Katie Hammond.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, I have a view to express. Kindly let me do it as your class prefect. Mr. Speaker, it's not so much by reference to Article 108, even though that underpins the point, Mr. Speaker, I intend to make. Mr. Speaker, for the many years that you and I, Mr. Speaker, have been in this House, the view had variously been taken by respective speakers that we should be very careful about private members' bill. Eventually, there was a ruling that it could be done. But I thought that, Mr. Speaker, there was a serious caveat about whether members could bring a private members' bill or not. What we've seen recently is the number, the load, and the speed with which private members' bills have been introduced in the House. What is troubling me now, it is not so much about the financial implications, Mr. Speaker, of some of these private member bills, but the security implications. Come to think of it, there is a private members bill, Mr. Speaker, for amendment to the armed forces. There can't be any serious security aspect and implication to any bill, Mr. Speaker, than an amendment to the Armed Forces, Mr. Speaker, Act. I do not think that, Mr. Speaker, it behoves any member of the House, Mr. Speaker, to seek to tamper with an act.
Honourable Member, you are completely out of order. You are completely out of order. The House has developed a guidelines. There are guidelines as to how private members' bills should be processed. Those guidelines have been gone through by the proposers. all stakeholders, including the armed forces, have been part of the discussions and deliberations. I've been following all the private members' bills. I've been following through to make sure that our rules are not breached by any member of parliament or anybody submitting a private member's bill. I have gone through all that. It's after that the draft person is authorized by me to put it on paper. That has been done. They were referred back to those partners and the sponsors. They've gone through it. All this has before they were put on the order paper. And now we are referring back to the committees. So if there are issues, go back to the committee, raise them there, and let us consider them during the deliberations of the bill. So the bill is laid accordingly, as I said, and referred to the appropriate committee. Item 7D.
An act to amend the Criminal Offences Act 1960, Act 29, to substitute the penalty of life imprisonment for the death penalty and to provide for related matters.
Honourable members, the bill is also laid accordingly and referred to the Committee on Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs for consideration and report to the House. I'm informed that the Minister for Food and Agric is available, and so we'll get back to the item 7B, the Grains Development Authority Bill 2022, Minister for Food and Agric.
An act to amend the Grains Development Authority Act 1970, Act 324, to provide for the regulation and development of the grains subsector, promote private sector participation in the grain subsector, and to provide for related matters.
Honourable members, the bill is laid accordingly and referred to the Committee on Food and Agriculture. Honourable members are encouraged, particularly the lawyers, to assist in the consideration of the bill. I've also been informed that the Minister for Health is also available now. And so we can take item 7A. National Vaccine Institute Bill, Minister for Health.
An act to establish the National Vaccine Institute to provide for the coordination and supervision of research, development and manufacturing of vaccines, and sera and for related matters.
Honourable members, the bill is laid accordingly and referred to the Committee on Health for consideration and report to the House. Yes.
Speaker, as was mentioned to you at conclave, I think we are now ready to take the statement by the Honourable Farouk, the member for Yendi. The statement. We are ready for it now.
Yes, Minority Leader.
Speaker, I'm hearing the whip of the majority make an application for you for us to go to statement. The understanding I got from the leader of government business was that the Minister for Finance will be here at 1 p.m. Is there any change to that? Because to admit a statement and comments associated thereon may itself walk into the time. And Mr. Speaker, I also believe that we should bring closure to motion 12 today on the vote of censure on the Honourable Minister for Health Mr. Kwekwa Ajimamenu in respect of the Sputnik acquisition. Yes, we should vote on it and bring closure to it. The motion should be taken today, and then we close it. Then we know where we are. But we have no problem with the statement. But we just want to understand, when is the finance minister here? The public, the world, donors want to hear him on how he will rescue the staggering economy.
Yes, Deputy Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I've heard a preemptive strike from the Minority Leader regarding a certain motion on essential motion. Yes, I've said yes, but he knows the rules. If he, Mr. Speaker, with the greatest respect, if he pays attention to the provisions of the Constitution, he wouldn't be talking about moving essential motion. If he pays attention to the provisions of the Constitution, he wouldn't be talking about it. Mr. Speaker, I am saying if you pay attention, though it is on the other paper, if you pay attention to the provisions of the Constitution, you wouldn't be talking about it. It's not for me to point out to you. It's for you to be prepared. I don't want you to embarrass yourself. I don't want you to embarrass yourself. But you should know that that motion, you should know that that motion, I'm telling you, have you paid attention to the provision of the Constitution? Have you paid attention? Mr. Speaker, our finance minister is on his way. He knows that coming to this house to brief us and to engage us is one of his major bona fides as a Minister of Finance. So he will do it. Mr. Speaker, he will do it. And we crave their indulgence to give us a little time. He will be here. Mr. Speaker, the Minister, as part of his responsibilities, is to make sure that members of Parliament are properly constituted. And he has done, Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Finance has a responsibility to ensure that MPs are properly constituted. And he has done so. Mr. Speaker, we did a great work for the Finance Ministry on Friday, and the Minister appreciates our industry, and we know that. I thank you.
Yes, Deputy Minority Whip.
Mr. Speaker, the Deputy Majority Leader is aware that because this House takes the budget statement that is going to be presented by the Minister for Finance seriously, that is why even though today about 10 questions were supposed to be asked today, but we said let's prioritize the Finance Minister. Mr. Speaker, the House was supposed to sit at 10. It's past 1 o'clock now. The last time the Minister for Finance was to present a budget to this House, instead of 10, he ended up presenting it at 2. Today, to come and do media review, instead of 10, you are coming at 2. Mr. Speaker, this House must be taken seriously, and the Minister for Finance must take us seriously. It is on that note that is a Minority Leader. He's saying that if the Minister for Finance is not ready, there are other motions on the other paper. Let's take one of those motions. So if you are saying that because of Constitution and all those, Mr. Speaker, where is the Finance Minister? Why are you unable to present the budget? If you have no budget for Ghanaians, tell us, and let's adjourn and go.
Honorable Mutala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we were originally informed that this House was going to be constituted at 10 o'clock. Now that changed of time from 10 o'clock possibly to whatever time we still do not know. And I will never be surprised even if the Speaker was not informed. Because this particular responsibility mandating the Minister for Finance to present the mid-year budget was supposed to be done last month. Once again, he never appeared before this House. Today we are supposed to meet here at 10 o'clock. Once again, he's supposed to appear here sometime we still do not know. I think that the Minister should take this House serious. And on that basis, the minority leader thinks that we can't be sitting down without doing anything. This is a House. There's a business we are supposed to be doing in the other paper. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with we taking at least one of the items in the other paper. And I don't see why the deputy majority leader is so incensed and be aggressive in suggesting the minority leader is speaking. Yes.
Majority Leader, I'm minded to suspending sitting for a few minutes, and then we'll come back.
Mr. Speaker, first, a member has indicated that the Minister was required to come to this House last week with a mid-year budget. Mr. Speaker, nothing can be farther away from a palpable untruth. The Minister has never been scheduled to come and present a mid-year budget last week. It was never so scheduled. So it's arising out of your own imagination. Mr. Speaker, last week, but it was 2 weeks ago that initially we programmed for him to come. And then because of the meeting with the IMF, we said the following week, which was last week, but the Speaker himself had to travel out. And so we pushed it to today, Monday, that we did here today. So, to all intents and purposes, it was never ever fixed for last week. So don't go out there and misinform the public. Don't go out there and misinform the public.
Majority Leader, I'm surprised you mentioned the fact that myself, the Speaker, was absent. I'm surprised you mentioned that as one of the reasons why the motion has been fixed for today, that the Speaker, was absent. I'm aware that it was not due to the absence of the Speaker. If not, all the businesses of the House would have been suspended. There was a reason why the Minister could not appear before the House last week, not because of the absence of the Speaker. I want that to be made clear. It was not because of the absence of the Speaker. Honorable members, for some good reason, I will suspend sitting for 10 minutes. There is a matter that has just cropped up I have to discuss. And so the document has been presented to me. It's not for nothing. It's for the business of the House and particularly for the institution of Parliament. So please, when the Speaker is talking about suspension, there is a good reason. I don't want to hear or see those reactions again from members. Please, the House is suspended for 10 minutes.
Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I think the House is now ready with the presence of the Minister for Finance to take item 8 on the order paper. It's at page 6 of the order paper. Our attention has been drawn to the fact that item 8 has been reprogrammed in the order paper addendum, page 1 of the order paper addendum. It's now statements. It's coming under statements. So I'll call on the Minister for Finance to read the statement, and the standing orders will change accordingly. Yes, Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I believe that the majority leader and leader of government business owes this House and the people of Ghana an explanation why all of a sudden he was the one canvassing through business committee, through his presentation to this August House, through his approval, that the Honorable Minister for Finance would come by motion in his mid-year review of the budget statement, economic policy and supplementary estimates of the government of Ghana for the 2022 financial year. Now we are being told that it is a statement and other paper addendum advertised. Mr. Speaker, for us here, all that this Parliament does is oversight. More importantly, oversight over budget and financial policy. We want to hear from him. If it is a statement, no burden is imposed on this House to approve or disapprove what the Minister may so well present. But we want to be able to hold the Minister so responsibly tomorrow. If there is any change in appropriation outside what has been authorized by this House, we will hold the Minister for Finance solely responsible for that before he moves on to say that he's coming by statement. So procedurally, Mr. Speaker, the majority leader today on procedure He is caught with the witch's dance. If he dances forward, the mother dies. He goes forward, the father dies. Tell us where you belong with procedure. If it is a statement, there is no burden or obligation on us. We will understand. But if we listen to him in a statement with that understanding, an irrebuttable presumption emerges that he is not going to tinker with what was so appropriated when he appeared and presented on behalf of the president. So, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to hear from the leader what has changed from motion to statement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, this is actually not question time. It's not question time, but it's an issue of public importance. We need to be able to explain some of these things to the understanding of the Ghanaian populace so that they could better appreciate what happens on the floor of the House. And so I'll call on the Majority Leader to offer an explanation as to why it's no longer going to be a motion, but now it's going to be a statement. Yes, Majority Leader.
Speaker, thank you very much. The Speaker, as the Minority Leader has indicated, initially, the information from the Minister to me was that he was going to work within the appropriated amount. The amount captured by the Appropriations Act. Subsequently, information came through that we may perhaps go a bit beyond that. If we're going to go a bit beyond the appropriated amount, that certainly will require a supplementary estimate to be submitted before this House. Mr. Speaker, if the exercise would not end in the Minister requesting for additional amounts for expenditure, he only needs to inform us about the progress made thus far in the implementation of the budget, which is what a mid-year review is. Speaker, yes, Article 798 provides that where, in respect of a financial year, it is found that the amount of monies appropriated by the Appropriation Act for any purpose is insufficient, or that need is arisen for expenditure for a purpose which no sum of monies have been appropriated by the Act, a supplementary estimate showing the sum of monies required shall be made before Parliament for its approval. To the extent that the Minister is acting within the appropriated amount, it calls for information to the House. But I agree with the Minority Leader. If it goes beyond, this House, not the minority, this House has a responsibility to bring the Minister back on track. It's the responsibility of the House, not the responsibility of a certain Harun Aidushu, the Minority Leader. So that is it. The information to us now, today, is just to inform us about the implementation of the budget, the bumps that we are experiencing, and what environment in the budget that may be required to be done. That is the information. And if it should go beyond the appropriated amount, the Speaker, I agree with the minority that in that case, we may require supplementary estimates. That's fine. It's not going to involve any supplementary estimates because we're not going to go beyond the appropriated amount of 145 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Honourable members, I now invite the Minister to present the statement to the House. And then after that, members have the liberty to make comments on the statement. Minister for Finance, You may now do so.
I do know. And why won't you want that too?
Right, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Members of Parliament, I stand before you on the authority of His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to present the mid-year fiscal policy review of the budget statement and economic policy of the Government of Ghana for 2022 financial year. Today's presentation is in fulfillment of Section 28 of the Public Financial Management Act 2016, Act 921, and Regulation 24 of the Public Financial Management Regulations, LI 2378. Mr. Speaker, this statement is an abridged version of the mid-year fiscal policy review of the budget statement and economic policy of the Government of Ghana for the 2022 financial year. I respectfully request that the entire mid-year fiscal policy review of the 2022 budget be captured in the Hansard. Mr. Speaker, on 17th November 2021, I presented the government's program to build a sustainable entrepreneurial nation anchored on fiscal consolidation and job creation in the 2022 budget, the Ajenkwa budget. Our macroeconomic targets were designed to get us back to a path of debt sustainability and increased growth. These targets, Mr. Speaker, were underpinned by an aggressive program to mobilize 100.5 billion Ghana cedis in revenues and grants, with estimated total expenditure of 137.5 billion Ghana cedis. We aim to achieve an overall budget deficit of 7.4% for the year 2022. This was against the backdrop that economic growth had recovered from 0.5% in 2020 to 5.4% in 2021, and the fiscal deficit had declined from 14.7% in 2020 to 11.4% in 2021. While the prospects for 2022 are encouraging, our plans, like many other countries in the world, went awry. Mr. Speaker, the impasse in Parliament and subsequent developments after the presentation of the budget in November 2021, both global and domestic front, have created enormous challenges for our economy. The deferment of the passage of our proposed revenue measures undermined the credibility of our budget, leading to heightened investor concerns, credit rating downgrades, and closed access to the international capital markets. These happenings, Mr. Speaker, have led to severe pressures on the cedi, which caused the currency to depreciate significantly. Additionally, in February 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine, a situation Mr. Speaker, additionally, in February 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine, a situation that worsened the already weakened global supply chains, exacerbated by high financing conditions, the surge in food, fertilizer, financing, and building materials and fuel prices that manifested in soaring inflation domestically. These have had a debilitating toll on the costs and standard of living of our people. Mr. Speaker, food prices are rising, fuel and transport fares are up, the cost of borrowing for businesses and households has increased, the cedi has depreciated, and the economic outlook has darkened significantly. Mr. Speaker, this state of affairs is quite a painful one for me to report to you. It is hard to see our people lament about the prices of basic commodities. These are difficult times for government and indeed for the finance minister. It is agonizing to hear our food producers complain about the cost of falling foodstuff from farm gates to market centers. This is not how we envision the economy. This is not what we planned and worked hard for. Recent challenges have overtaken us. Our duty is to work through these challenges, overcome them, and it's exactly what keeps the President and his team awake at night. Mr. Speaker, let me take this opportunity to discuss the issue of our return to the IMF. Yes, I know this government assured the nation of a Ghana beyond aid, and our plans and programs for economic transformation have been designed to achieve just that. And indeed, I did say that Ghana would not embark on an IMF program. We did not just say it, we also took measures towards the attainment of that objective, including the passage of the Fiscal Responsibility Act and instituting a number of irreversibility measures, and also launching the Ghana Cares Obatampa program for economic revitalization and transformation. Unfortunately, unprecedented global developments, Mr. Speaker, over the past 2 years, especially in these last 6 months, have really and truly disrupted our efforts. Governments across the world have had to change course to tackle the current crisis. Governments that less than a year ago were busily talking about energy transition and green and cleaner fuels have gone back to firing their coal plants. Governments that are known for low taxes are now raising taxes to tackle growing deficits. These are not ordinary times, not for Ghana, not for Africa, and certainly not for the whole world. Right, Honorable Speaker, let us all acknowledge that the situation we are experiencing now is different. The global context we find ourselves in is the first of its magnitude in the Fourth Republic, and even before that. It is therefore disappointing when people want to pretend that these developments are purely domestic. It is trite knowledge, Mr. Speaker, that global developments, including the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine invasion, have really undermined and disrupted most economies. Governments across the globe are facing strikes and demonstrations as workers see their standards of living plummeting. With prices of goods and services jumping to heights not seen in over 2 generations. An International Monetary Fund staff team visited Accra from July 6 to 13, 2022 to assess the current economic situation and discuss the broad lines of our government's enhanced domestic program that could be supported by the fund. At the conclusion of the mission, Mr. Speaker, the statement by the team lead correctly captured where we are and why we are where we are. He said, Ghana is facing, and I quote, Ghana is facing a challenging economic and social situation amid an increasingly difficult global environment. The fiscal and debt situation has severely worsened following the COVID-19 pandemic. At the same time, investors' concerns have triggered credit rating downgrades, capital outflows, loss of external market access, and rising domestic borrowing costs. In addition, the global economic shock caused by the war in Ukraine is hitting Ghana at a time when the country is still recovering. From the COVID-19 pandemic shock and with limited room for maneuver. These adverse developments have contributed to slowing economic growth, accumulation of unpaid bills, the largest exchange rate depreciation, and a surge in inflation. Unquote, Mr. Speaker, from the fund. Mr. Speaker, let me be quick to add that we are not wavering at all in our resolve to turn this country around. Ours is a history of turning things around when the country is in crisis. When the MPP government took over the reins of government in 2017, we inherited a challenged economy under an IMF program, which we successfully turned around and exited the program in 27 months. Mr. Speaker, that is a fact. If the economy was not on track, we would not have been given the all clear. That was why by April 2019, satisfied with the stability that we had brought to the economy and the policies we were implementing to sustain growth, the fund gave us the all clear to exit the program. Ghana's growth rate had moved from 3.7% in 2016, the lowest since 1992, to average 7% from 2017 to 2029. We had cut the rate of inflation down by 33% over the same period to 7.9%. By the end of 2019, Mr. Speaker, average lending rates had dropped from the 30s to 23.6 and still dropping. Our trade balance was up, Mr. Speaker, to 2.3 billion. The cedi remained relatively stable. Indeed, the amount of our total revenues that we use to service our debt had dropped from 2018 spike of 73% to 58.9% by December 2019. We were certainly not out of the woods, Mr. Speaker, especially as revenues remain very low and we have been left with billions in arrears to pay and more bills to pay from numerous contracts that the previous government had signed. Well, Mr. Speaker, we were certainly not out of the woods yet, especially as revenues remained very low, and we have been left with billions in arrears to pay, and more bills to pay from numerous contracts that the previous government had signed, where we had to pay for electricity that we did not need. Yet, we still found money to fund our own ambitious promises to Ghanaians. We still found the money to bring back or invest more in vital social programs that had been abandoned by the previous government. But, Mr. Speaker, we also knew that the economy was still vulnerable to shocks. That was why we set out to introduce transformational policies that in the long term will put Ghana beyond aid. Key amongst them are the emphasis in education and vocational training, adding value to our economy through industrialization, digitalization, investing heavily in roads and railways, and rationalizing the power sector. Indeed, Ghana was touted globally as a success story. Investors were lined up to buy our bonds. Tourism had taken off with over 1 million visitors touring Ghana in 2019 during the year of return. Then came the outbreak of the pandemic, described in June 2020 by IMF as a crisis like never before. A crisis like never before. But the Akufo-Addo government stood up to its responsibilities to the Ghanaian people. I, the finance minister, who was widely described as tight-fisted, even by his own cabinet colleagues, had no choice but to do what the entire world was doing, which was to breach our own self-imposed deficit ceiling in order to save lives and protect livelihoods. We have demonstrated that we can transform this economy when we all come together and put our hearts and minds to it. Mr. Speaker, just as we did in 2017 and 2020, government is resolved to continue to provide the necessary leadership to turn the economy around. Let me assure you, on behalf of the President, that we will do it again within the next 2.5 years. To do this, Mr. Speaker, we'll proceed with great caution, thoughtfulness, creativity, and grit. And as the old adage says, we shall hasten slowly. Mr. Speaker, we are currently developing an enhanced domestic program to complement the Ghana Cares Over Atampa program to return us to a path of macroeconomic stability, debt sustainability, robust growth, and a Ghana beyond aid. We expect this program to be the basis of our negotiations with the IMF. In the coming months, Mr. Speaker, we'll continue to optimize and support our flagship programs and make strategic investments in the real sector to increase production, enhance productivity, and create jobs. The Youth Start program will be a fundamental intervention to advancing an entrepreneurial nation to create jobs. Mr. Speaker, our iconic National Builders 4 program, which was initially run for 3 years and extended for an additional year, will be completed by 1st September 2022. The program, which engaged 100,000 young graduates, has prepared thousands of them for the world of work. So far, we have invested approximately 2.2 billion cedis. As they exit, the current cohort on the program are encouraged to take advantage of the Youth Start initiative and other assistance programs in our drive to build an entrepreneurial nation. Government's policy is to support dynamic young entrepreneurs, access training and funds to build their businesses and become a significant pool of job providers for their fellow young people. Mr. Speaker, we ever recognize that our post-COVID economic recovery has been uneven and risks remain high. According to the IMF, the global outlook is grim and has darkened significantly, and global uncertainty is exceptionally high, and 2023 is even more uncertain. However, in the 2022 budget, we committed ourselves to chart a course towards growth and fiscal sustainability, and this mid-year policy review reassets the commitment. Mr. Speaker, we've seen some major shifts in our budget assumptions compared to November 2021 when we presented the budget. These changes have led to reduced revenues, increased interest payments, and changes in interest rates and exchange rates. However, we are committed to staying within the appropriation for 2022. In spite of the underperforming revenues and strong external headwinds, we are not seeking additional funds in this mid-year review. We are determined to efficiently use the windfall from the upstream petroleum sector to make up for our revenue shortfalls and aggressively improve our revenue even as we rationalize expenditures. Mr. Speaker, the Bank of Ghana increased the monetary policy rate cumulatively by 450 basis points between March and May 2022 and reserve requirements to 12% to help address rising inflation and currency depreciation. This led to a significant increase in interest rates and financing costs and a drop in liquidity, leading to rollover pressures in order to contain inflation. Mr. Speaker, with this backdrop, I now proceed to give details of developments for the first half of the year 2022 and also provide updates on the outlook for this year. Mr. Speaker, the global economy is engulfed in crisis and in margin since World War II, resulting in a conflagration everywhere. Global inflation and interest rates are at record high. Monetary policy adjustment in advanced economies are also tightening financing conditions for emerging markets. The Financial Times estimates that investors have pulled about $50 billion from emerging market bond funds in 2022 alone, the most severe net outflow recorded in 17 years. The outlook of the global economy has significantly dimmed, Mr. Speaker. According to the April 2022 IMF World Economic Outlook, global growth is projected to end the year at 3.6%, down from 6.1% growth in 2021. Across advanced economies, Growth is projected at 3.3% in 2022, down from 5.2% recorded in the previous year. The sharp slowdown reflects surging commodity prices, soaring inflation, trade disruptions, tightening financing conditions, and elevated uncertainty due to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In addition to these factors, growth in sub-Saharan Africa is projected to slow from 4.5% in 2021 to 3.8% in 2022 on account of heightened security risk in the Sahel region. The World Bank also projects that global growth from now to 2024 will slow down by 2.7 percentage points. According to the UN this year, about 250 million people will fall into extreme poverty. It further suggests that a record 345 million acutely hungry people are on the brink of starvation, representing a 24% increase from 276 million at the beginning of 2022. Mr. Speaker, price pressures have continued to build in several advanced and emerging market economies, primarily due to escalating energy and other commodity prices and widespread supply chain disruptions. In response, inflation in advanced economies is expected to increase from 3.1% in 2021 to 5.7% in 2022, moderate to 2.5% in 2023. Similarly, inflation in emerging markets and developing economies is expected to increase from 5.9% in 2021 to 8.7% in 2022, before moderating to 2.5% in 2023. Mr. Speaker, our economy has been impacted by these global developments. The revenue measures outlined in the 2022 budget have underperformed, largely due to the delays in passing and implementing these measures. Inflation has surged to 29.8% as at the end June 2022, as compared to 9% in June 2021. The cedi has pressure against the US dollar by 16.86% between January and June 2022, compared to 4.1% at the end of 2021. These have contributed to rising costs of living and labor agitations. Interest payments have been reviewed upwards from 37.5 billion, 7.5% of GDP, to 41.3 billion, 7% of revised GDP, mainly on account of inflationary pressures and exchange rate depreciation, resulting in higher costs of finance. Mr. Speaker, in face of these adverse domestic and external headwinds, growth momentum has, however, been relatively resilient. The Ghana Statistical Service reports that the economy continued to grow, moderately growing at 3.3% in the first quarter of 2022. In addition, the Bank of Ghana's updated Composite Index of Economic Activity recorded an annual growth of 15.8% in March 2022, compared to 26.3% in the corresponding period in 2021, due largely to increased industrial production, increased credit to private sector, exports, and higher tourist arrivals. In the light of the significant changes in the global environment and our own unique challenges, we have revised our economic growth estimate for 2022 to 3.7%, down from 5.8%, as stated in the 2022 budget. Mr. Speaker, at the time of presenting the 2022 budget in November last year, we provided information on macroeconomic developments for the first 9 months of the 2021 fiscal year. We now have received updated information through the end December 2021, which I now present as follows. Overall real GDP for 2021 grew strongly by 5.4% compared to 0.5% recorded in 2020 and the revised 2021 annual target of 5.1%. Non-oil GDP growth also increased to 6.9% compared to a growth of 1% recorded in 2020 and the revised 2021 target of 7%. Overall budget deficit of 28.095 million, 5.6% of GDP, against a deficit target of 19.73 billion Ghana cedis, 3.9% of GDP. Primary balance for the period was a deficit of 7.618 billion, 1.5% of GDP, against a deficit target of 672 million, or 0.1% of GDP. Public debt to GDP ratio stood at 76.6% at the end of 2021. Mr. Speaker, provisional Q1 2022 national account statistics published by Ghana Statistical Service in June 2022 show that the overall real GDP growth for the first quarter of 2022 was 3.3%, compared to 3.6% recorded in the same period in 2021. Non-oil GDP for the first quarter of 2022 grew by 3.7% compared to the Q1 2020 growth of 5.3%. Revision to 2022 Macroeconomic Framework. Mr. Speaker, as I've already indicated, the macroeconomic environment has significantly changed, prompting the revision of the macroeconomic framework. Based on the development for the first 6 months of 2022 and outlook for the rest of the year, we have accordingly revised the macro fiscal targets for 2022 as follows. Overall GDP growth of 3.7%, down from 5.8%. Non-oil GDP growth of 4.3%, down from 5.9%. End period inflation of 28.5%, up from 8%. The overall deficit of 6.6% of GDP, down from 7.4%. Primary surplus of 0.4% of GDP, up from a surplus of 0.1% of GDP, and the gross international reserves of not less than 3 months import cover. Mr. Speaker, the 2022 fiscal framework has also been revised to the fiscal performance for the first half of the year, including shortfalls in the expected yields from the new 2022 revenue measures, the implementation of the 30% discretionary expenditure cuts and other expenditure measures announced by government earlier in the year. The other expenditure measures are the moratorium on foreign travel except pre-approved critical and or statutory travels, 50% cut in fuel coupon allocations for all political appointees and heads of government institutions, including SOEs, effective 1st April 2022, the moratorium on foreign travels except approved, pre-approved critical on statutory travels, and 50% cut in fuel allocations for all political, including SOEs, etc. Government support for 15% of cost of living allowance to public servants, upward revision of the average weighted domestic interest rates, upward revision in exchange rate on account of higher depreciation, and revision of crude oil price from $61.2 per barrel to $94.8 per barrel, and the benchmark crude volume from 59.5 million barrels to 58.0 million barrels. Mr. Speaker, accordingly, total revenue and grants have now been revised to 96.8 billion, 16.4% of GDP in 2022, down from the 2022 budget target of 100.5 billion, 20% of GDP, representing 3.7% reduction. Total expenditure, including payments for the clearance of arrears, has been revised downwards to 135.7 billion, 22.9% of GDP, from the original budget projection of 137.5 billion, 27.4% of GDP. Interest payments have been revised upwards from 37.4 billion, 7.5% of GDP, to 41.362 billion, 7% of revised GDP, mainly on account of inflationary pressures and exchange rate depreciating, resulting in higher costs of financing. Mr. Speaker, the revisions in government's fiscal operations results in a fiscal deficit on cash basis of 38.9 million, 6.6% of revised GDP, up from the 2022 budget deficit target of 37.012 billion, 7.0% of GDP. The corresponding primary balance is a surplus of 2.46 billion, 0.4% of revised GDP, up from the 2022 budget estimate of a surplus of 435 million, 0.1% of GDP. Although the deficit, Mr. Speaker, is expected to be financed from both foreign and domestic sources, domestic financing will be the key driver while government works to regain external market access. Mr. Speaker, the following revenue measures will be pursued in the remaining half of the year. EVAT. The digitalization of our revenue mobilization processes remain a key focus. Therefore, the GRA is finalizing all relevant processes to facilitate the effective collection of VAT revenue. This includes a proposed amendment of the Value Added Tax Act 870 to enable its electronic collection effective 1st October 2022. Property rates. It's fundamentally important that together with the Ministry of Local Government, we continue to assist and support the assemblies, not only to expand their revenue base, but to do so with optimal efficiency and effectiveness. Therefore, the collective efforts of the local government, the assemblies, and the GRA in launching an end-to-end digitized process will be realized in August. Extension of waiver of interest and penalty to December 2022, and introduction of upfront payment of VAT on importers not registered for VAT with implementation start date of 1st October 2022. Mr. Speaker, this government has kept faith with public sector workers. Not a single public sector employee was laid off as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Employees received their full salaries, with frontline health workers receiving additional incentives. Since 2017, this government has employed an additional, Mr. Speaker, since 2017, this government has employed an additional 295,000 Ghanaians in the public sector, with 20 hires registering 84 new employees. 1,000 new employees. In spite of the prevailing global economic upheavals and the resultant fiscal challenges, government continues to pay salaries of all public sector employees on government payroll and has committed to pay a cost of living allowance of 15%. This ensures that public servants are motivated and public service nationwide continues uninterrupted. Furthermore, it shows government's commitment to the public sector. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, government is significantly investing in ongoing initiatives and programs to improve the lives of Ghanaians, facilitate economic and job opportunities, promote shared growth, and protect the quality of life of Ghanaians. Indeed, government has prioritized national security, food security, energy and road sector development, railway infrastructure, education and skills development, among other flagship programs. Mr. Speaker, on national security, the safety of Ghanaians in the face of complex security threats is a major concern to government, and we are using a significant amount of resources to ensure that we keep our country and our people safe. Considering what is happening in the West Africa region, it is important that we prioritize national security, and we have. Whilst it will not be prudent to disclose the full cost of ensuring the security of this state, let me emphasize that it is significant. As a result, the Ghana Armed Forces is implementing an enhanced surveillance program for the country's airspace and international borders through collaboration with other domestic security agencies. Also aggressively pursuing the Forward Operating Bases program to improve response time and prevent cross-border crimes as well as terrorist infiltration. To further improve internal security, the Ghana Police Service has recruited and trained 5,000 additional officers to put more police in our streets and communities. The service has also launched the See Something, Say Something campaign, intensified anti-armed robbery operations, and intelligence-led sweeps throughout the country. Mr. Speaker, COVID-19 pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war have combined to disrupt supply chains and increase transportation costs, which are threatening food security globally. But what the people of Ghana care to see is that their government is doing about it to ease the impact here. To enable households and farmers cope and support stable food supply, government has taken the following immediate measures. Place a temporary ban on grain exports, promote the use of organic fertilizer and cultivation of crops such as roots which require less fertilizer, monitor food and input prices to pick up early warning signals of potential food crisis in order to take prompt remedial action, and finalize modalities for the haulage of produce from farm gates in food-growing areas to market centers, especially the urban areas. Mr. Speaker, on energy sector development, the raft of sanctions imposed on Russia are tightening supply conditions for energy products. In response, government is closely monitoring the stock of products at all depots. The timely intervention of the Bank of Ghana through the auction mechanism is also expected to sustain continuous supply of petroleum products in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, we have seen in this country the damage that disruptions in power supply causes to businesses, large and small, from factories to hairdresser salons. As part of measures to improve transmission reliability of power supply and expand energy to all Ghanaians, we have between January to date completed the Kasua Bulk Supply Plant Point project, which comprises the reconstruction of a section of Gridco's 161 kV Winneba Malam transmission lines and tie-in works. The lights are on. Advance the Volta Achimota lot of the 161 kV Volta Achimota Malam transmission line upgrade project to 85% from 83%. Connected 58 communities to the national grid as at end June 2022, with several communities at various stages of completion, and commissioned the solar irrigation project at the Ho Technical University in March 2022 to promote renewable energy systems. Mr. Speaker, for balanced, sustainable energy partnerships that provide affordable power for industrial, commercial, and residential use, we have kept our promise and successfully renegotiated power purchase agreements with 6 independent power producers, namely Car Power, Power, Early Power, Twin City Energy, formerly Amandi, Akstar Energy, and Senate. These renegotiated agreements are expected to have savings estimated at 13.2 billion over the life of the PPAs through a combination of reduced capacity and energy charges. In other words, we will be saving the Ghanaian taxpayer 13.2 billion from power contracts signed by the previous administration. Mr. Speaker, in spite of the revenue mobilizing challenges, the President is determined to fix the roads. Our Year of Roads program continues to be on course. Phase 1 of the agreement with the Sino Hydro Corporation Limited, comprising engineering, procurement, and construction contracts for 442 kilometers of roads and 2 interchanges, have gained significant progress, including Tamale Interchange project completed and commissioned, PTC Runabout Interchange project 35% completion, upgrading of selected feeder roads in Ashanti and Western regions completed, of a lot more to follow, and Sunyani Inner City road works at 63% completion. Other key road and bridge projects are also progressing steadily, including the La Beach Road projects lots 1 and 2, which includes a 3-tier interchange at Nungwa, is 34% and 50% complete respectively as of June 2022. The phase 2 of the Obechabi-Lamte Circle interchange and the flyover on the Accra-Tema motorway from the Flower Port Spinters Road are 57% and 30% complete respectively as of June 2022. The Kumasi Lake Road and Drainage Extension Project, extension of the existing Abuabo drain, and construction of the Tripatra bus terminal at 92% at the end of 2022. upgrading of Salaga Ekumdipe Pandai Road at 70% completion, partial reconstruction of Bojaso Adesu Road, Lot 1 at 98% completion, work on the construction of 50 prefabricated bridges to improve connectivity within areas cut off by waterways in all 16 regions have been achieved with progress of about 80%. Mr. Speaker, under the Ministry of Roads and Highways Public-Private Partnership Program for Road Infrastructure, the design, build, finance, operate, and maintain Accra-Tema Motorway and Extension PPP project 27.7 kilometers is at the procurement stage. Site work are expected to commence in September 2022. The Government of Ghana has made a strategic decision in line with the Public-Private Partnership Act 2020 to procure the Accra-Tema Motorway and Extensions project through GIF, with a mandate to deliver a GIF-led PPP financing solution where maximum funds are raised from the market, but majority ownership of the project remains of GIF on behalf of the Ghanaian government. The draft concession agreement between GIF and Ministry of Roads and Highways is currently under review by GIF, Ministry of Roads and Highways, the Office of the Attorney General, and the Ministry of Finance. When completed, the concession agreement is expected to be approved by the PPP Committee, Cabinet, and Parliament. The completed road will be tolled. Mr. Speaker, all new roads of this nature will be tolled. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Minister, resume your seat.
Mr. Speaker, the completed new road will be told to recover the whole life cost of the completed infrastructure, as well as pay lenders and provide a return to equity investors. The Government of Ghana shall provide funding through GIF to take equity in the special purpose vehicle to be created by GIF for the project. Mr. Speaker, PPP projects must be self-financing and they will be told. Mr. Speaker, significant investments continue to be made by government towards the development of a modern railway network. We believe in this because we know that creating an alternative means of transport, especially for goods, will ease the pressures on our roads and future impacts of global crude price hikes on farm products. For example, government is within target to complete the construction of the new Temam-Kwakadan rail line by the end of this year. The project is currently about 92% complete. The operationalization of the project is expected to enhance efficiency at the Tema port and provide the shortest possible transportation between the southern and northern parts of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, government continues to implement key initiatives to enhance productivity, scale up entrepreneurship prospects, and build resilient systems. These initiatives underpin economic activities in a modern economy and significant and safeguard our transformation agenda. Mr. Speaker, we have placed human capital development at the core of our national transformation efforts since 2017. We have invested 5.3 billion to enable 1.3 million Ghanaian children access to secondary education under the free SHS program at the end of 2021 to improve access to education. Out of the 571,892 registered JHS students, 555,353, representing 97.1%, were placed into senior high schools this year. This is significant. We are aware of reported challenges in accessing and transporting food for students in SHS, and we are fixing it. In response, we have engaged stakeholders and devised a program that ensures that schools will not be disrupted and our students are well fed. Government has also recently completed 17 additional projects, including classroom blocks, dormitories, staff bungalows, and libraries as part of infrastructure expansion in senior high schools to deal with the record increases in student numbers. Mr. Speaker, we shall not compromise on President Akufo-Addo's commitment to giving all our children the opportunity to be educated from kindergarten to university, without the ability to pay being a hindrance. Free and TVET education are not under review. We'll continue to fund them, we'll continue to improve them, we'll continue to create efficiencies. Mr. Speaker, and eliminate waste. Mr. Speaker, thanks to the taxpayers, since January, 3.6 million pupils in 10,832 public basic schools have been fed with one hot meal every school going day in the first half of the year under the Ghana School Feeding Program. The program provides employment for caterers, about 32,496. School feeding program remains an important initiative that keeps our children in school, provide jobs and income for several people, mainly women, and avoids stunting. Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to report that work has commenced in our various stages of construction in 87 out of the 111 sites earmarked to Agenda 111 project. For the majority of contractors at various sites, we are well on course to bridge the health inequality gap and strengthen the health system nationwide. Furthermore, the following health infrastructure projects are expected to be completed by end year 2022. These are construction of 1 district hospital and 5 polyclinics in Western Region, Kontombra and Suome, Lubu, Wassa, Donkwa, Bogoso, and Mpo. Expansion and equipping of 4 selected facility projects in Aburi, Kom, Tetekwashi, Chibi, and Atibi. And equipping of Upper East Bolgatanga Regional Hospital Phase 2 and completion of 37 military completion of a military hospital, Mr. Speaker, in Kumasi. Mr. Speaker, it is important to recall that the timely intervention of the government to the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic preserved lives and livelihoods of all Ghanaians. The economic measures staved off a recession and have sustained the momentum of economic recovery from 0.5% in 2020 to 5.4% in 2021. Mr. Speaker, last month, I provided a comprehensive update on COVID-19 expenditures to this House. I welcome your directive to the Committee of Finance and Health to further understand the expenditures occurred by MDAs under COVID. To complement this accountability process, I've also requested that the Auditor General audit the COVID-19 expenditure in line with its statutory obligations. Mr. Speaker, the COVID-19 related expenditure had to be met. They saved lives and provided inclusive growth. The impact of these interventions will certainly transcend the momentary challenges we face today. Mr. Speaker, developing the youth and sporting infrastructure remains a key objective of government. To empower our youth, we are implementing Phase 2 of the Skills Toward Employment Productivity to train about 1,500 youth in 6 modules: transport, app development, satellite installation, hairdressing, cosmetology, and dressmaking. Consistent with government priority policy on building an entrepreneurial nation, these trainings will be supported under the Youth Start program. Mr. Speaker, government wishes to congratulate the Ghana men's 4x100 meters relay quartet for their outstanding performance in taking the 5th position in the final at the World Athletics Championship in Oregon last Saturday. They did so by setting a new national record of 38.07 seconds to Sean Supplementary, Benjamin Azamati, Joseph Odrumeno, and Joseph Paul Amoa. A grateful country says, Aiko. Mr. Speaker, Ghana was represented in various international competitions at which the following medals were won. The 5th Para Taekwondo Championship in Niger, 2 gold medals and 1 bronze. African Hockey Cup of Nations, Accra, Ghana, 1 silver medal. The National Beach Volleyball, Cotonou, Benin, 2 bronze medals. Mr. Speaker, Team Ghana is scheduled to participate in the upcoming 2022 Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, UK between July 28th and August 8th. The Black Princesses will also participate in the FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Costa Rica in August 2022. And finally, for this year, the senior national team, the Black Stars, will represent our nation at the FIFA World Cup in Qatar, November 2022. Government will ensure that adequate preparation is made to facilitate outstanding performance by these teams. We encourage all Ghanaians to continue to bear them in prayer and offer our support. Mr. Speaker, government continues to invest strategically in key sectors of the economy for catalytic results under the Ghana Cares program. Significant progress made under the program in the first half of 2022 include completion of the first phase of registering farmers and value chain sector, currently totaling 1.3 million farmers and 32,970 value chain actors. This has started impacting how agricultural interventions will be delivered to our farmers. Offering a 50% interest rate subsidy on loans worth 5.95 million to private sector agribusinesses in the rice, soya, poultry, and tomato value chain to ease the cost of borrowing. Providing 27.3 million Ghana cedis as guarantee cover for loans amounting to 94.7 million under GESEL, safeguarding 1,309 jobs. Training about 25,000 under the Youth in Innovation Agriculture Program Initiative to seamlessly integrate into agriculture value chains. Commence upgrading of 3 culturally significant sites, namely Abri Botanical Gardens, 55% complete, Yas Antoine Mausoleum, Ejisu Bisiase, 58% completed, and the Pigwari Slave Camp near Paga, 73% completed. Launched the National Training and Retraining Program under the National Unemployment Insurance Scheme in July 2022 to equip 15,000 Ghanaians with employable skills for industrialization. Secured land and commenced processes to establish the Economic Enclave Program. This will create a viable ecosystem for the youth in commercial agriculture with an initial focus on rice and poultry value chains. The Youth Start Initiative. Mr. Speaker, since March 2022, we have successfully piloted the Youth Start program. Over 70 participants across the country went through a 2-week mandatory training to equip them with the requisite skills in entrepreneurship, financial management, good corporate governance, marketing, and among others. Mr. Speaker, a total of 1.98 million was disbursed under the pilot to 46 individuals and 8 associations, with membership of between 6 and 45 members, based on specific needs to enable them scale up their businesses and contribute to the job creation agenda of government. Development Bank of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, on the 14th of June 2022, government and entrepreneurs realized a long cherished dream when we launched and operationalized the Development Bank of Ghana. This is a significant innovation and reinforcement of our financial architecture that will provide medium and long-term financing for commercially viable businesses and projects and focus, Mr. Speaker, on agribusiness, industrialization, and ICT. Together, we'll work harder to make the DBG a AAA-rated institution able to access and disburse resources to finance Ghana's transformation with a 750 million capitalization. Mr. Speaker, despite global supply chain disruptions, Ghana's Automotive Development Program under the Strategic Anchor Industries Initiative continues to attract investment. In April 2022, Nissan commissioned the largest automotive assembly plant in Ghana in Tema with a capacity to assemble over 31,000 vehicles per annum. The expected commissioning of 4 additional plants this year, bringing the total to 9 global brands, will make this nation a true hub for automobiles in the sub-region. Mr. Speaker, digitalization is key to automation, data integration, and utilization in the modern economy. To this end, government continued the implementation of our National Identification Program, which is the foundation of our transformative digitalization agenda. As of June 2022, 795,108 Ghanaians were enrolled, out of which 15.7 million Ghana cards have been issued. Mr. Speaker, the President's vision to see Ghana producing what we use for ourselves and what our neighbors also need is unfolding right before our very eyes. Out of 296 1D1F projects undertaken since 2017, 125 are currently operational across the country. This is by far the biggest industrialization program our country has seen since colonial days. Seen against the 278 projects and 106 operational IDFs reported in November 2021, our industrialization agenda is progressing steadily, and we will urge more investors to see the current global supply chain challenges as rather an opportunity to invest in Ghana now, the commercial center of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Government, for our part, will continue to support 1DI firms with technical assistance, taxes, and access to credit, including interest payment subsidies, to the risk level export orientation for transformation. Ours is a country of strong, courageous, resilient, optimistic, and joyful people. Indeed, it is amazing how we can find humor in the midst of the most difficult situations, which keeps our spirits alive. As a nation, we have gone through many difficulties, including the recent COVID-19 pandemic that devastated many nations, yet we survived. That is a testament to our resilience. We concede that times are difficult and things are not what we desired, but we believe in the overcoming spirit of the Ghanaian people, a spirit that does not cower in the face of challenges. It is this spirit that inspires us as a government to provide the leadership that is required. Mr. Speaker, our decision to go to the IMF again, despite what we had determined earlier, is a short-term measure for balance of payment support. In the longer term, we really need is a major structural shift in our economy. Speaker, this will also open up our re-entry into the international capital markets and friendly sovereigns who would support our program. The structure of the economy is still largely primary, despite the numerous attempts to structurally transform it through various industrialization programs. We are heavily reliant on primary commodities extractive industry and are price takers of the market. Our capacity and productivity remains low in both the public and private sectors. These are huge inefficiencies as well as limited skills to foster our development, improve the standards of living. In this regard, any adverse global development impacts us negatively no matter how efficient we manage the economy. This is what we intend to reverse. Mr. Speaker, that is why the President's vision of a Ghana beyond aid is critical. It is to reduce our vulnerability to global shocks. Over the last few years, the implementation of our flagships, including the 1D, 1F, the Planting for Food and Jobs, the Road and Railway Development Program, and our Recovery Program, the Ghana Cares of Atampa, will add value to our products. To increase productivity in both the public and private sector, to drive our transformation agenda, government will implement programs such as the Youth Start, as well as the training and retraining program to enhance the skills of Ghanaians, especially the youth. Furthermore, we'll promote a robust digital technology driven in architecture for unique identification to aid revenue mobilization, expenditure management, and enhance security. We shall improve connective transport and communication infrastructure that promotes national and regional trade and strengthen the financial ecosystem reinforced with the Development Bank of Ghana that supports Ghanaian enterprises and enhances inclusive growth. We shall further, Mr. Speaker, turn Ghana into a continental financial services hub and a continental financial services technology playground. Mr. Speaker, our forward march is underpinned by a significant investment in structural transformation. Let me emphasize that over the last 5 years, we have been in the prudent usage of our tax revenues. As a government, we have made sure that these resources are channeled into interventions that impact the life and livelihood of our fellow Ghanaians. Mr. Speaker, we have invested in the future of our children through free SHS, where 5.3 billion has been spent to enable 1.3 million students have access to secondary education. We have invested in the poor and vulnerable through the LEAP program. We have invested in hot nutritious meal per day to 3.2 million pupils in our basic schools and provided a steady stream of income for 32,496 acres. We have invested in construction, rehabilitation, and upgrading of major road networks. We've invested in lives and livelihoods during the COVID through the CAP bus and other interventions over 600 million cedis. We've invested in making sure that all public workers were paid every month during COVID-19 pandemic, including the teachers who were paid for all the 9 months when the academic calendar was disrupted. We invested in ensuring that we provide adequate human resources for our public sector for employing 295,000 more people between 2017 and 2019. Of this number, 86,000 in the education sector, 146,000 in the health sector, and 37,000 in the security services. We have also, Mr. Speaker, invested in strategically placed industries in over 100 districts under the 1D1F program, and we are investing in the expansion of health infrastructure to every district under the Agenda 111 initiative. Mr. Speaker, for 3 years, we have provided relief for our people. We prioritize savings, lives, and livelihoods in spite of our fiscal condition. Mr. Speaker, government has always come through during the difficult times, and we believe that together we will overcome challenges that lie ahead of us. Mr. Speaker, we are invested to grow the economy and create jobs for our young people, to be able to leverage opportunities created by AFCFTA. It is the most sustainable means of improving living standards in the long term. At this critical time, we are directing resources to regain economic stability. This is what Ghanaian households and businesses expect and deserve. With discipline, dedication, and hard work, we will overcome the current challenges that confront our nation. We are convinced we can do this again. We work closely with Ghanaians to turn around the economic situation in 2017, and we can do it again. Mr. Speaker, in the immediate term, will strengthen our focus on efficiency in our fiscal operations and transformation efforts. To this end, we are aggressively improving revenue mobilization by adopting more innovative and comprehensive approaches, including technology, rationalizing expenditures, adopting policies to address inflation, promoting production and improving productivity, including implementing the Ghana Cares and USAT programs, and exploring innovative financing as illustrated by the recently approved $750 million Afri-Exim facility. Mr. Speaker, predictions on a changed global outlook since the war has manifested. According to the IMF, the outlook has darkened significantly and uncertainty is exceptionally high. The downside risks about which the IMF had previously warned have now materialized. Mr. Speaker, there is no crystal ball in predicting when these uncertainties will end. The pandemic, which has been at the root of the current worldwide torments, is far from over. Crucially, the global weekly average of COVID-19 infections has surged from 472,895,000 to 1.08 million between 31st May 2022 and 22nd June 2022. Even though the active infection rate in Ghana stands currently below 500, despite harsh economic sanctions and tacit diplomacy, we are witnessing a war of attrition in Ukraine with no end in sight. Monetary policy adjustments to tame surging inflation may persist over the medium term. We are also developing a new strategy to enable us to confront these uncertainties as part of the enhanced domestic program. This program will stimulate economic growth, promote fiscal consolidation, and enable us to re-emerge on the path of sustained transformation and debt sustainability. We have invited a fund to support key components of this program. Mr. Speaker, this program reinforces our focus on fiscal consolidation and debt sustainability. To demonstrate our commitment, we are not seeking additional resources despite significant challenges. We will stay within the appropriation for 2022. Government will balance underperforming revenues and the adverse impact of the strong external headwinds with effective use of our windfall from upstream petroleum sector. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Finance will work with the Bank of Ghana in the coming months to provide emergency financing in the case of shortfall within the law, given the current unpredictable and challenging environment. Bank of Ghana is also taking measures to help reduce inflation and has introduced critical measures to help stabilize the city, which is to exercise Ghana's first right of refusal to gold produced here, and for the first time in the Fourth Republic at least, build a strong gold reserves culture to protect the city as we move forward. Mr. Speaker, the collective achievement of this initiative will offer a more permanent respite and improve our capacity to withstand similar challenges in the future. Our economic prospects are bright, but we will have to contend with recurrent external challenges and adapt quickly to a new environment. There will always be unexpected challenges ahead. These have to be carefully considered and measures put in place to resolve them. Mr. Speaker, we are confident because we have laid the key infrastructure upon which we can anchor this process of national growth. Mr. Speaker, we are even more confident of an imminent breakthrough because we have, Mr. Speaker, a track record, a plan, the discipline, the dedication, the competence, as well as the compassion for our people and our country. But most of all, Mr. Speaker, we have God who gives abiding grace for this new journey. He guided the Akufo-Addo government to successfully exit an IMF program in 2019. He will again use this government to successfully go through this program to redeem us from this. We will chart a sustainable course that will restore and improve macroeconomic stability, energize and expand economic activity, create jobs, and strengthen Ghana's structural resilience to future external shocks. Mr. Speaker, I serve a president who has shown by his deeds that he is deeply committed to the welfare of the masses of our people. Ours is also a government that is not afraid to make hard choices for the good of our country. I want to appeal to Ghanaians to keep faith with the president and his team. We know things are tough now, but we have a plan and the will to drive it. We want this House to do exactly what it did in the earlier crisis of 2020. Support us in our bid to reduce the impact of this global crisis on the nation and to tackle the vulnerabilities in our economy to make us prone to such shocks. The President wants the Sovereign House to be a strategic partner in government's effort to stabilize the economy and spur growth to create jobs. Ours, Mr. Speaker, is a proud history of finding solutions to our country's issues, the MPP government of the Fourth Republic. We have done it before, we will do it again, and with the help of this House and the support of the good people of Ghana, we shall come out of this stronger. As we claim the Lord's promise in Joel 2 to send his people corn, wine, and oil to satisfy us and eliminate this reproach. In this journey, we must eschew pessimism. That takes invaluable energy away from our forward march to transformation. As one people, we must speak the same language of patriotism to guarantee our own collective success. For a united country will have no restraint but victory, Mr. Speaker, in Kunim. Mr. Speaker, I'm thankful for the opportunity to be here to outline our programs. I'm grateful that we continue to engage and find sustainable solutions to our challenges. God indeed bless our homeland Ghana and make us great and strong. Mr. Speaker, I beg to submit.
members, honorable members, honorable members, this is a clear manifestation of how far we have gone with our democracy. I'm not sure you really understood what I said. After turning the House into a national theater, and making yourselves happy, I allowed you because you've been sitting for a long time. So I just wanted you to exercise a bit. With this, I also have a compulsion and I have to take 10 minutes. So sitting is suspended for 10 minutes.
Mr. Speaker,
Honorable members, please resume your seats. We have listened to the Minister of Finance read the statement. It's time for us to listen to the leaders give an indication as to how we go about this matter. I did indicate to them, and they both accepted, that our rules actually fall short of how to handle such statements. This is a statement on a mid-year review. It's not in the same nature as the statements on the 71 or 2 or on the 72. Neither is it also ceremonial on the order 71. And so they will give an indication, and tomorrow we'll then start the business on the statement earnestly. Today is just to give an indication. So I'll start by giving the opportunity to the minority leader, Honorable Haruna Idrisu.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank you for the opportunity, at least for some comments before the comment or debate on the media review statement made by the Honorable Minister for Finance. Mr. Speaker, with this, I see no respite. I cannot see my way clear. I cannot see any hope clear for the suffering Ghanaian people who expected that today's statement at least will offer them some respite because of the rising cost of living, the rising cost of doing business, the rising number of persons affected by extreme poverty. Mr. Speaker, conspicuously lost in this statement is civil returns for e-levy. What is its disappointing performance? The minister failed to tell this House the performance of e-levy. Conspicuously lost in the statement. We have not heard anything. But Mr. Speaker, what is even more important is that, Mr. Speaker, with that one, I will raise a procedural issue so that we will all be guided. Mr. Speaker, if you read page 21, the minister is seeking to, in my view, vary appropriation from 37 billion to 41 billion. At least that's what he says in paragraph. Interest payments have been revised, page 21. Interest payments have been revised upwards from 37,447 million to 41,362 million. So interest payment from 37 to 41 billion. Mr. Speaker, is this a matter that a mere statement from a minister for finance allows him to adjust appropriation? Because I'm holding a copy of my appropriation act. It gave him mandate for 37 billion. Now he talks about 41 billion. Mr. Speaker, I'm raising it so that the House decide what do we do? What do we do? He is within the figure of appropriation. But Mr. Speaker, let me draw your attention. My colleague quoted it, but for my purposes, I'll read it. Article 1798 of the Constitution provides, and I read, where in respect of a financial year, it is found that the amount of monies appropriated by the Appropriation Act for any purpose, So for this purpose, for interest payment. That is my addition. For any purpose. So this purpose, as we approve appropriation, was for 37 billion, not 41 billion. Then the Constitution continues, for any purpose is insufficient. So 37 billion insufficient. Now working towards 41 billion. Or that a need has arisen for expenditure for a purpose for which no sum of money has been appropriated, like a COLA of 15%. Did you provide for it? I'm just raising these issues. To that act, a supplementary estimate showing the sum of money required shall be laid before Parliament for its approval. So, Mr. Speaker, we want to be guided. The other, Mr. Speaker, is that the minister is seeking in page 31 to reintroduce road tolls through the back door. When he says, I read paragraph 57.2. Paragraph 57.2, he says, the completed road will be tolled. Not my words, his words. Not my words, his words. Will be told to recover the whole life cost of it. So, Mr. Speaker, the Dagombes have a proverb that dance which goes into dawn, tomorrow morning. The tie is never in a haste to begin the dance. Tomorrow, the Honorable Atuforsen will lead us in the dance with his team in debating this budget. So, Mr. Speaker, let my colleague respond to the procedural issue. But to Ghanaians, don't be disappointed. This is what you opted for, and this is what you have. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Speaker, we have listened to the Minister responsible for Finance with the presentation of the mid-year review. Mr. Speaker, the minority leader laboriously is setting us through the Gunga Proverbs. Let me indicate to him that in any dancing, the dancing skills rest on the knee and indeed the heel, not the thigh. So that analogy is inaccurate. And Mr. Speaker, if you listen to the minister, he's not saying that by this the mid-year review is introducing a road toll. Please read what is there and don't mislead Ghanaians. Read what is there. The truth of the matter is we all do acknowledge that as a nation we've not been reaping enough from the road tolls. It's one of the reasons why, and considering the damage that is done at the toll area, it was decided that we should do away with it for the time being. Mr. Speaker, no law that is made is sacrosanct. You do know that. Mr. Speaker, yes, we added pollution. It's one of it. Mr. Speaker, if we have to reintroduce it, and it will not be reintroduced until we don't listen, because you have not even thought about what is intended to be done. That is why you are saying that what is intended to be done is to go the electronic way. You will not understand. That's why you're asking me what does it mean. Mr. Speaker, so the good book says, those who have eyes to see, let them see. Those who see where we are coming from, know where we are coming from, and of course, because of the messianic effort of this government in rescuing us from the shambolic performance of the economy which we left. When we come to the debate, when we come to the comments on this, we are ever ready for you. We are. It's not about, we'll do it. If I have to yield to begin it now, I will say I'm ready. There's nothing under your sleeve. There's nothing under your sleeve. This is not propaganda. We'll be talking to facts. We will be talking to facts, not propaganda. When you go out there, you can do your propaganda. Here is the facts and figures. Mr. Speaker, the minority leader is indicating that he mentioned some line items, and he's saying that because it's been mentioned, we need supplementary estimates. I cannot comprehend that. The Appropriations Act requires of you and indeed allows you to spend up to a certain ceiling. Within the ministry, department and agencies, and even within Parliament as an arm of government, we do violent. We don't require the minister to come and vary. So I'm surprised as these rather tendentious arguments that you are making. Mr. Speaker, the practice and convention of this House, and indeed, even the constitution that you quoted, will not support this advancement that you want to do. Mr. Speaker, so we'll be prepared for them anytime. Mr. Speaker, the honorable member looking at me menacingly should know that he cannot intimidate me in any way. He cannot, regardless of his boasting and his demeanor. This much ado about nothing effort will not yield you any dividends. So, Mr. Speaker, I believe we can, for the time being, as we do, suspend further. So we will stand the comments down and begin in earnest tomorrow. The business committee gave some indication about the time, and I will plead with us to be on time tomorrow, given the time that we have, so that if we are able to sit at 10 o'clock in the phone room, and certainly we'll have extended sittings, we'll be able to do justice to the matter before us. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Honourable members, the leaders have given us an indication of how we will go about handling this matter from tomorrow. I can assure you I'll be in control, and I will delineate the perimeters of what will happen. It's definitely not going to be just comments, but it will also not be a debate. With your kind permission, let me acknowledge some distinguished personalities that have come to support us, not just receive the statement, but also to encourage us to do a national duty. We have at the distinguished visitors gallery the Chief of Staff of the Republic of Ghana, our own former member, who used to be, I don't know whether she is still in charge. She was the senior most of my wives in Parliament. I was the legal advisor to the Women Caucus for a long time. That is why they were referred to as my wives. Yes, it's not the type that you people indulge in. So we have Honorable Frema Opare Ansa, who is here with us. Sorry, or say sorry. It's because of the majority leader that I decided not to mention that. I also want to acknowledge the latest chairman of the new Patriotic Party, who, after how many world wars, I don't know, he's finally won 5 world wars. That is real perseverance. So we have in our midst Mr. Stephen Intim. We have the General Secretary of the new Patriotic Party, also newly elected, fresh blood, Justin Kodua Frimpong. Honorable members, I will now move on to the technocrats, not the politicians. So we have with us the governor of the Bank of Ghana in the person of Dr. Ernest Kwamina Addison. Honorable members, there's good reason why I said we are now moving on to the technocrats, not politicians. So please acknowledge them as such. They are not in our class. We are not in politics with them. They are technocrats. We have the Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Opoku Afra. And we have the Chief Director of the Ministry of Finance, my brother and friend, Mr. Patrick Nimo. We have the Controller and Accountant General Uves. Well, you are hearing them. They say you don't release the monies on time. They did not give me his name, just the title. Then, yes. That is Mr. Kwenu Bosompim. We have a Deputy Commissioner, Mr. Bafo Anan Asare. And we have the Deputy Commissioner, GRA, Mrs. Julie SM. Actually, this handwriting, I think my handwriting is also better than this. We have the Coordinating Director, Mr. Menz, I think from the Eastern region. We have the Director of Budget, Mr. Thomas Appiah-J, and we have Head World Bank Group Unit, Nelly Meku, and the Technical Advisor to the Minister of Finance in the person of Ruth Bochri. Honorable members, on your behalf, I want to warmly welcome them and thank them for coming to support us. This is a national duty, and we will try as much as possible to work together to do the right thing. Oh, my attention is drawn to the better half of the Minister of Finance. I'm told she is not like the Minister of Finance. The minister understands, you don't understand. Honorable members, subject to what the leaders will say, I will at this stage want to allow one member to make a statement the normal statements. It was given to me at the pre-sitting meeting. I don't know whether you prefer us to rather adjourn. Yes, Deputy Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, if you will be pleased, it is our humble suggestion to you that the House be adjourned. Mr. Speaker, accordingly, you may proceed to adjourn the House until tomorrow, 10 in the forenoon, when the opportunity will be given for us to proceed with parliamentary business.
Yes, Chief Whip, Minority.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, looking at the mood of the House, knowing very well also that there was no preparation for extended sitting, we can only support our colleagues opposite for the House to be adjourned till tomorrow. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Well, before I proceed to adjourn proceedings, I want to inform members that we had earlier on programmed to commemorate the International Day of Parliamentarianism tomorrow, Tuesday, 26th July 2022. And so we're organizing a program at the Justice D.F. Annan Auditorium, which is to commence at 1 p.m. So we will commence proceedings here tomorrow morning at 10 in the forenoon, and then after that proceed to the Justice D.F. Annan Auditorium to continue with our own day, International Day of Parliamentarianism. All members should make it a point to attend and participate in the commemoration. With this, honorable members, I proceed to adjourn the House. And the House is accordingly adjourned to tomorrow, Tuesday, the 26th of July, 2022. The House is adjourned.